Have you ever wondered how a single event can shape the course of history? World War II, a six-year-long global conflict from 1939 to 1945, was a pivotal chapter in our shared past. It involved nations from all corners of the globe, forever altering their destinies. The echoes of this war still reverberate in our present, influencing the world we live in today. Let's delve into the historical journey that was World War II. To understand World War II, we must first look at the world after the Great War. The aftermath of World War I was marked by a fragile peace, brokered by the Treaty of Versailles. However, the treaty's punitive measures against Germany sowed the seeds of resentment and unrest. This unrest fueled the rise of dictators like Adolf Hitler in Germany and Benito Mussolini in Italy. Far to the east, Japan was also flexing its muscles, embracing militarism with open arms. Meanwhile, the League of Nations, a body designed to mediate disputes and prevent global conflict, was floundering. It proved ineffective in curbing the aggressive policies of these nations. The world was on a knife edge, with the balance of power shifting rapidly and dangerously. This climate of tension and power struggle led to the outbreak of a new, more devastating war. The spark that ignited the world was the invasion of a small Eastern European nation. As the summer of 1939 drew to a close, the world watched with bated breath as Germany, under the iron fist of Adolf Hitler, set its sights on Poland. The German forces, driven by an insatiable hunger for power and a misguided sense of racial superiority, swept into Poland like a storm. This act of aggression, committed on the first day of September, was the first domino to fall in the cascade of events that would lead to World War II. Britain and France, having assured Poland of their support, were left with no choice but to declare war on Germany. Despite their hopes of maintaining peace, they were forced to face the grim reality of another global conflict. This marked the end of a fragile period of peace and the beginning of a devastating six-year war that would change the face of the world forever. The world was once again plunged into a global conflict. The war took a frightening turn with a new form of warfare. Germany, led by Adolf Hitler, introduced the world to Blitzkrieg, or lightning war. This strategy was marked by rapid, concentrated attacks intended to shock the enemy and disrupt their defenses. It was swift, it was brutal, and it was devastatingly effective. In the spring of 1940, the German forces turned their attention to Western Europe, employing these Blitzkrieg tactics with chilling efficiency. The Netherlands and Belgium fell quickly, and then came France. Despite its formidable Maginot Line, France was outmaneuvered and capitulated in June, a mere 6 weeks after the German invasion. Meanwhile, the British Expeditionary Force found itself trapped at Dunkirk, facing certain annihilation. However, a daring evacuation mission across the English Channel saved over 300,000 soldiers, a small glimmer of hope amidst the darkness. Next, Hitler launched an aerial assault on Britain, aiming to gain air superiority before a planned invasion. Yet the Royal Air Force valiantly defended their skies in what's known as the Battle of Britain. Despite being heavily outnumbered, they held their own, inflicting a strategic defeat on the Luftwaffe. Despite the odds, Britain stood alone and defiant. This marked a significant turning point, showing the world that Hitler's forces were not invincible. The war took a brutal turn in the east. In the summer of 1941, Germany launched Operation Barbarossa, a massive invasion of the Soviet Union. This marked the beginning of the Eastern Front, a theater of war characterized by its unprecedented ferocity, destruction, and immense loss of life. Hitler's plan was to swiftly conquer the Soviet Union before winter set in. However, the Soviet Union was vast, and its people resilient. The Germans advanced deep into Soviet territory, but their progress was stalled by the fierce resistance of the Red Army and the harsh conditions of the Russian winter. In the midst of this, the city of Leningrad endured a brutal siege that lasted almost 900 days. The city's inhabitants faced starvation but refused to surrender, showcasing the formidable spirit of the Russian people. The Battle of Stalingrad, fought in the winter of 1942-43, marked a turning point. The German army was forced into a devastating retreat. The bitter cold, coupled with the tenacious Soviet resistance, claimed the lives of hundreds of thousands of German soldiers. The frozen wastelands of Russia became a graveyard for the German army. World War II wasn't just a European conflict. The Pacific theater played a significant role in shaping the course of the war. Japan, under the rule of Emperor Hirohito, had been expanding its empire across Asia and the Pacific throughout the 1930s. Their ambitions were not limited to the mainland, and the Pacific Islands came under Japanese control one by one. December 7, 1941, marked a pivotal moment in the war. The Japanese launched a surprise attack on the American naval base at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. This devastating assault claimed the lives of over 2,400 Americans and left the Pacific Fleet in ruins. This act of aggression was a wake-up call for the United States. The country, which had been practicing a policy of isolationism, was thrust into the global conflict. The aftermath of Pearl Harbor saw the United States declaring war on Japan, marking their entry into World War II. Under the leadership of General Douglas MacArthur, the U.S. launched a strategic Pacific island hopping campaign, gradually reclaiming territories from Japanese control. The Pacific became a crucial battleground in the fight against fascism. In the shadows of war, humanity witnessed unimaginable horrors. The Holocaust, a systematic genocide orchestrated by Nazi Germany, targeted 6 million Jews and other groups deemed undesirable by the regime. This was an atrocity on an unprecedented scale, a dark chapter in human history that we must never forget. Concentration camps such as Auschwitz and Dachau became symbols of death and despair, where countless lives were extinguished in gas chambers or through brutal labor. Mobile killing units known as Einsatzgruppen roamed across Eastern Europe, leaving trails of destruction and death. In the aftermath of the war, the Nuremberg trials held Nazi officials accountable for their war crimes, crimes against humanity, and acts of genocide. These trials marked a significant step towards justice and the establishment of international law. These atrocities remind us of the darkest side of human nature. They underscore the importance of vigilance, empathy, and education to prevent such horrors from recurring in the future. 1944 marked a turning point in the war. On June 6, the Allies launched an audacious assault on the heavily fortified beaches of Normandy. Known as D-Day, this operation represented the largest amphibious invasion in history, involving over 150,000 troops from Britain, the United States, and Canada. Under the command of General Dwight D. Eisenhower, the Allies breached Hitler's Atlantic Wall, beginning the grueling liberation of Western Europe. This was not without cost, however, as the Allies faced fierce resistance and heavy casualties. The Normandy landings marked the start of a relentless advance towards Berlin. The liberation of Paris in August and the successful Battle of the Bulge in December further weakened Germany's grip on the continent. From the ruins of the occupied territories, a new hope emerged. Despite the devastation, the resilience of the human spirit prevailed. The tide of war had finally turned. After 6 years of brutal warfare, the world could finally breathe. In May and August of 1945, Germany and Japan respectively capitulated. The United Nations was born from the ashes, a beacon of hope in a post-war world. The echoes of World War II still reverberate in our world today.